Come on, come out. Oh, okay. Hi. So, today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be trying out painting. So obviously I've actually used paints before, physically, but I haven't ever painted like a proper piece. This is all my mum's art equipment, which you can't see because it's on the floor. We've got easel, brushes, water's down here. Here's our paints. Not going to be using all of those, obviously. I haven't chosen the colours out yet. I've drawn this up. I took some B-roll of the sketch and the canvas, which I'll show you right now. The canvas was some second-hand thing. It already had some paint on it. I just spray painted it white, so hopefully that's okay. I think that the picture I've decided on is probably going to be a bit ambitious, especially because I have no idea what I'm doing or how to do stuff at all. But we'll give it our best crack, and I can always just change it. I can always just, you know. Okay. So, the first thing I think we should probably do is start with the biggest areas, which will be these big blocks of colour. Like here, 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 sky and all that. So, I'm just going to choose my colours for that. I'm no expert on colour theory. I kind of just wing it, or use palettes I found online. I'm a digital artist usually, so things are a bit easier. You know, you have an undo button, you don't get dirty. That's a nice blue, maybe. So I'm thinking probably like a saturated blue, and then with some orangey yellows. So we've got deep yellow. Do I think this is turquoise? We've got deep yellow, cadmium orange, and I'm sure we can mix the orange and the yellow to make an in-between shade. So we've got 3 layers of sand that we will lighten, I guess, as we go back. And then for the ocean, okay, we've got a Viridian. Viridian might be nice. Like a really greenish blue is what I'm thinking. And I'm probably going to end up making this in multiple parts because I don't know how long it's going to end up being, and I don't want it to be too long, you know. Okay, we've got Phthalo green, maybe? Okay, we can decide on that later. Let's just start with the simplest part, which is going to be the sky. There might be a bit too much paint, but that's okay. Just grab a little brush. All these brushes are a bit frayed, so they're not like tight, you know? So, because I haven't done this before, I've chosen to do a more simpler art style. I'm not like an expert, but I can do generally a variety of different stuff. I'm not sure if I should paint over these lines, you can't exactly see them. I will paint over this bit because I'll just remember where it is, but I'm not going to paint over anything else. Yeah, I can kind of do realism. I can kind of do semi-realism, that's usually what I tend towards. All these bristles are coming out, that's fine, that's okay. And this is a really simple blocky style. I guess you can call it cubism. I wouldn't know if I would call it cubism. But it's kind of cubey. And I chose that because it's like flat colours, simple shapes, shouldn't be too hard, shouldn't take too long. But I feel like this is going to take a bit. Cubism isn't... It's kind of easier, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of easier than realism and shit. But I think that it cops a lot, like, too much flack that it doesn't deserve, you know? Because a lot of people just look at it and they say, oh, a kid can make this, like, because it's just simple shapes, simple colours. But that's not really the point, because it's not just, like, the point of art isn't, like, the harder it is to make it, the better, you know? The point of it is, there are so many brushes coming out. The point of it is, like, creativity. And the thing with cubism is that when people invented it, it had never been done before. Like, people had only made, like, realism and shit. So, it was good, and people liked it because it had, like, people, like, imagine how easy it is to make a Picasso style thing, because you can just look at all his art and copy it. Like, that's easy peasy. But if you had never seen Picasso in your life, if you'd only ever seen, like, hyper-realistic paintings, and then you had to try and come up with Picasso by yourself, you wouldn't be able to do it because it's so hard. And it's not just like, oh, shapes. It's like, it's like there's more to it, you know? There's like color theory, there's balance, there's flow and all this stuff, like, and not to mention the actual technique of having a brush and moving it across the canvas, which is harder than it looks. This is empty. My mom used to paint a lot, and then she got busy, and now we just have all this stuff sitting around that nobody else can use, really, so maybe I'll just use it. So we have to find a replacement for cadmium orange, which I really liked. See, this is kind of why digital art is good, because you don't need to physically possess the colours. We've got another cadmium orange. Let's see if this is anything. I don't think I would ever be a traditional artist. It's too hard. You've got a safety net with digital art. Hang on. I need to poke this out with a stick. It's got gunked up. Okay. But I also kind of think that a lot of people don't like they have such a snide opinion of some art styles because they were forced to do it in school. Like, they were forced to write an essay about Picasso, and then they were forced to paint a Picasso. This is empty as well. And they were like, oh my god, who the hell cares? I hate Picasso now. And I think that they should just either stop making people do art, or teach it better. Do we literally not own any other oranges? Ugh, I'm gonna have to custom mix one. We have a cadmium with an Indian yellow. I kind of like the Indian yellow more than the deep yellow. I think I'll use the Indian yellow instead. And I'll have to find a good red to mix with this now. Fuck. Because this is red light naphthol, which might not have anything in it, but let's give it a shot. Because when I was in high school, a lot of people just hated art, and they hated the art teacher because the art teacher sucked. And like in the class, you would have a few students who were the favorites because they had some level of talent already before starting high school, and then you'd have everyone else, and everyone else just hated it there, and they didn't want to be there, they didn't want to do the work, they would just skip out, they didn't try, they picked fights with the teacher, and the teacher was nasty and no good. Like, oh, the amount of stories I have about that teacher, might as well go into them. So, basically, I was one of her favourites for some reason, even though I wasn't that good at art for a long time. Ooh, here's the yellow. And so she would basically, anything I did would be good. And most of the time in her classes, I just did the bare minimum, and then I just drew in my book the whole time because I didn't want to be there. That was way too red. Fuck. But she looked at these like shitty Naruto fan arts that I did that had like no effort or talent to them whatsoever, and then she would praise them endlessly while shitting all over my friends. And she was one of those teachers where it's like, if she gave you feedback, it wasn't like actually decent feedback, like, oh, your technique of blah 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 is not that good. It was literally like, I just don't like this, so do it my way. Like, we had to make fucking collages one time, and check that orange out. Yeah, we had to make collages, and one of my friends was cutting out like stuff from a magazine and sticking it on her page, and then the teacher literally walked over and ripped it off because she just didn't like it. Like, she just ripped it off her paper. My friend fucking started crying. That was great. And when, I think it was actually the same project, the same collage bullshit, I had a specific idea going into it that I wanted to make, and I made it, and I was really happy with it, and I was like, okay, this is done, I'm going to submit it early, and then the teacher looked at it and was like, okay, there's too much white space at the top, you have to put something there, and that's actually good feedback, that's good feedback. So I was like, okay, cool, I think I'll just design a little, like, banner, border kind of thing at the top of the page. So I really like flowers, so I was drawing in my book, designing like a little header of some flowers, different flowers and stuff like that. And then she walked over and looked over my shoulder and she was like, I don't like flowers, do something else. So that fucking pissed me off. So I just put in some half-assery. I just drew a bunch of dots or something. And she was like, oh, this is so amazing, oh, it looks so good. And I was just sitting like, shut up. How the fuck are you supposed to paint around all these little things? I don't get that. Okay. Anyway. And then I was like, whatever. It doesn't look terrible, I guess. I'll just submit this now. And then she was like, oh no, you should cut some of those shitty Naruto fan arts out of your book and stick them on the page, which, give in mind, there was like barely any room left right now. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that, because this is actually a serious piece that I care about and I think looks cool, and I don't want to fuck it up with shitty Naruto fan art. And then she would not let me submit the piece until I did what she said. It was the last day of our class, and I hadn't been able to submit it still, because I just refused to give in to her demands, and then I finally just had to fucking do it, because it was that or fail. So I just drew a bunch of shitty stuff on a piece of paper, cut it out, and stuck it on. And I gave it to her, and she was like, oh, you look so good, and showing it to her, she was like, oh, doesn't it look so good? It didn't fucking look good, alright? It didn't fucking look good. And then she had the goddamn nerve to say that I submitted my assignment late on my report. Like, it was your fucking fault. I was going to submit it early, you stupid bint. Anyway, so, and then she hung it up in the hallway for years and years, and when I was about to graduate, she was like, hey, I've still got it, do you want it? I'm like, no, you keep it, I'm good. Fuck that shit, you fucked it up. I would have hanged it up on my wall if you didn't make me fuck it up. And that wasn't even the only time she pulled that shit. Like, we had another assignment where we had to, basically it was using fine liners and ink pens and all this, and it was like texture, that was the focus. So it was like, choose a noun for your topic, and then write it in the center, and then draw a bunch of stuff related to it around. So I was really happy fixated on Iceland at the time. So I was like, I'll do the word Iceland, and then I'll draw a bunch of different stuff from their country and culture. So I did that, had the big bold text in the middle, stuff around the edges, put a ton of texture on everything, blah blah, and it was done. And then the teacher was like, oh no, it's actually not done, because you need to put texture on the words and on the background as well. And this is all black and white, and it's already kind of a cluttered canvas, and I knew that it would look terrible. I just knew. I had purposely kept the text and the background blank inside, because I knew that if you put too much clutter of this line work and this texture in just black and white, there's no way to contrast it really. And I was only like year 7 or 8, so it's not like I had more advanced techniques under my belt either. And I had to do what she said, obviously. She's a teacher. So I did. And by the time I was done, to the point that she was satisfied, the whole canvas was just a mess, an indistinguishable mess of lines. And as soon as we got it back after grading, I threw it straight in the fucking bin. Didn't even leave the room, I just picked it up and threw it. I copped it the least out of everyone I know, because one of my friends had a fucking hate crusade against her by this teacher, because her sister, for some reason, was really hated by the teacher. And so when she got into the class, the teacher just immediately hated her. Like, they were on orientation, and the teacher refused to give her the orientation packet for the class, which told them the holiday homework and when the class was on and stuff like that. And she had to get it by special request. And then it just got worse from there. Like, she really, it was the biggest mistake of her life, was probably going into that goddamn course. Oh, this is being difficult. I'm sure I can just fix this later. Sorry, I don't have good view, by the way. I only own one camera, and I don't have any friends with cameras. Anyway, so the whole year, the teacher was just trying to screw over as much as possible, and she literally did nothing wrong. Like, all she did was try to pass this goddamn class. So then my friend was like mainly a digital artist, and she would print out her drawings and then stick them into her portfolio. And they also had to collect art of stuff that they liked, like art that inspired them. And so she printed out art off the internet. And then the teacher said that digital art isn't art, so it didn't count, because you have to have a certain amount of art in your book to pass. It's just really stupid. And the other thing was that this friend of mine went to a exhibition, which was like, it was like a old manor from the 1920s that had been turned into like a whole place was an art exhibit. Like, the architecture, the furniture, they arranged in specific ways and all this stuff. I never went, so I don't know the specifics, but yeah, basically it was just like a whole house that was an art piece in itself. And she took a bunch of photos, stuck them in her book, and then the teacher said that's not real art either. Which I don't think that you're on the council to decide what real art is, sweetie. But anyway, and then towards the end of the year, so my friend was in the production, and it was a bug on the fucking canvas. Fuck off! Oh, whatever, fine, you're part of the piece now. So it was a really busy time of production season. I think it was either like right close to when they were opening night, or it was opening weekend. And then the teacher last second announced an assignment where they had to go to the museum and see an art exhibit that was closing that weekend. Like, it had been open for like months, and it was just that weekend that she decided to suddenly, like that Friday, go, oh yeah, you have to go this weekend or you fail. And they had to do a bunch of questions there about the art pieces. And you might think, oh well, that's just like, she probably had a plan in advance, she can't help it, it's the same time as production season. But then she like specifically said to my friend, like, oh, I guess you're gonna fail this because you can't make it. Like, it was most very intentional. She really wanted her to fail for some reason. I don't even fucking know why. And my friend managed to end up making it, but it's like the amount of stress of putting that on a kid, and it's like, it wasn't like it was due the next Monday. So she could have easily chosen a different art exhibit that had a little more time so that she could make it not on a busy weekend, you know? Okay, I can kind of see this line through the paint, so I'll just do that. Oh my god. The edge work is fucking annoying me because it's so messy. Anyway, so my friend ended up getting it done, thankfully. And then at the end of the year, they finish their portfolio, they have all their art pieces in it, and then they had to do a big final assignment where they did like 2 or 3 different pieces of art around one theme, and then they did a big write-up about the meaning and stuff like that. So, something that actually happened to all my friends that were in that art class, that my 2 other friends got yelled at and accused of plagiarism by the teacher, or accused of, or otherwise having their family, like, do the art for them. And it's not like, it was like their work. It wasn't in like a particularly different style or whatever that would be suspicious. They worked really goddamn hard on it, and then they get to class and the teacher fucking screams at them and makes these false accusations, and they literally cried because of the stress of having to undergo that. And then the teacher just gave this half-assed apology later, like, oh, you know, I have so many work to mark because it's the end of the year, so I'm just stressed. Not even an actual sorry, mind. It's fucking bullshit. You don't get the right to yell at someone just because you're fucking stressed. And you've been working at the school how long, you should just know how to deal with that at this fucking point. Get a therapist if it's so hard on you. And then they had to submit their portfolio, and they get a grade for their work over the course of the year. And my friend, the one who gets mainly discriminated against, got like a failing mark, and she went into a meeting with the teacher where the teacher's supposed to tell you how you can improve so that you'll pass. And then she said, like, is there anything that I can actually do to not fail? And the teacher just said no. Like, you can't change anything about the work you've done. You can't add anything to this book. You were just fucked. I'm just going to fuck you over. And so she ended up having to apply to get different art teachers from, like, other schools and, like, one from in the school to grade her work instead because of the obvious bias. And the other art teacher in our school literally said, like, there is no way that this work gets that low a mark. It's, like, it's a clear pass. Like, it's good. So, yeah, and everyone fucking hated this teacher. Like, I remember one of my friends, we were standing at the bus in junior high school, waiting to catch it and go home, and he was ranting to me about how much he fucking hated this teacher, and he had plans our whole time at high school that on muck-up day, which is like where the seniors get to do all the pranks and bullshit, which we didn't even end up getting to do because they cancelled it on us, he was going to, like, jack her car and steal all the tyres and then hide them around the school and make it like a riddle hunt thing where she has to like, she gets like cryptic clues to find where her car tires are, and then they'll be like up trees and on the school roof and shit, so she can't get them back. Yeah, and then he was gonna like fucking egg it as well and all this. He didn't end up doing it because one, that's illegal, and two, we didn't get mock-up day. But yeah, that's like the extent of hatred that people had for this woman. Because she was just a beast. She was honestly a very cruel and wicked person. And I have my personal big beef with her because my brother was in her fucking art class and she refused to learn how to pronounce his name. It's not an English name, but it's not difficult. It's literally like the same as an English name with like one slightly different sound in it. No like rolled R's or weird vowels that you would never have said before. Literally, all shit should be easy. You learn it in 2 seconds if you actually give a shit. And literal weeks, months, he constantly corrected her on how to say his name, and she just flat up refused to say it properly, and she called him by like the Anglo version of it, 'cause fucking racist ass Anglos, right? And meanwhile, she had no trouble with the names of the South Asian kids, probably because if you say those wrong purposely, you're gonna get a racial discrimination charge against you. And then my mom had to contact, first she contacted the year level coordinator, and then she had to contact the principal, and she also emailed this teacher to complain as well, and got no response, before they finally fucking did something about it. And all of a sudden, the next day, this teacher can just magically say my brother's name with no effort. Like, oh, it's not even hard, huh? Not even fucking hard, you stupid bint. So, yeah, that's my biggest beef with her. Every time I think about that, it pisses me off, because, like, you're literally discriminating against my fucking brother, because he's not a goddamn Anglo like you, Mrs. Scottish. For fuck's sake, right? That's fucking rude. It's fucking rude. You can't pull that shit on people. But yeah, so I'm graduated now, so never have to see her again, thank God. I remember when I was in, like, year 12 or 11 or something, I was practicing my kanji, because I did Japanese. And she walked into the library and saw me, and she started chatting me up about, like, oh, you can use these to make art. Like, you can make an art around them. Like, basically telling me to do what we have on the flashcards to learn the characters, where you draw lines around it, make it look like a picture. And I was just sitting there like, I am trying to study. I was being polite because I'm a polite person. But I was annoyed, especially because it's kind of like, you know, it's just an alphabet. Like, if you don't know Japanese or Chinese or whatever, you just think, oh, it's so mystical, fancy, Asian characters, they're so beautiful. But it's still not really dark enough, is it? Light enough. Yeah, but it's like, when you actually learn it and you write it, it's just letters. Like, there are ones that I find really pretty. Like, I really like the one for rain, because the way we learnt it was that it looks like a window with rain, like, falling outside. And I think that's just a really cool mental image. And I like rain. But I wouldn't get that, like, tattooed on my body, because at the end of the day, it's just the word rain, you know? And it wouldn't make a cool, fancy art piece. If you're getting it, like, doing calligraphy, like traditional calligraphy, then sure, it looks really pretty. But, like, yeah, it's just a word. Like, it's not all that, you know? But you kind of, with the East Asian languages, there's a lot of, like, ooh-woo Westerners who just go, like, all full mysticism, Asian magic on it. And they think it's something more special than it is, and it's really just a way to write words. Like, imagine if people just wrote out, like, the word reverberate, and they were like, oh, it's so beautiful, oh, look at the symmetry, oh, it's so pretty, I'm gonna get this tattoo, and I'm gonna get it on a t-shirt. Like, that'd be a bit silly, wouldn't it? I'm glad that this blue seems to have dried up, so it's not mixing together right now. It'd be a shame if I wanted to mix it together and it wasn't doing that, but I don't want to mix it together, so that's okay. This isn't gonna look amazing. I think I might hang this up somewhere. Maybe I'll give it to my mom. Can you fucking... There's a little bug glued here. I'm pretty sure it died. Bloody shame. Maybe I should have done this back to front, like I should have done this, and then this, so that you don't have that, this overlapping of the back on the front. But it's too late now, and I can always fix it later. You always have got my paint, you know. The only issue is that I mixed all the orange in the same spot, so I can't go back. But that's alright. I think this isn't too bad. If I was doing this on digital, I actually did do a sketch of this exact base sketch that I used here in my book as well. So I could actually also scan it and then make a digital version of this and then compare. And I think the digital will turn out better because it'll just be cleaner. The colours will be nicer because I'll be able to mess around with them and change them until they look perfect, whereas you can't really change the colours on here without repainting everything. Yeah, and also, if I was doing this digital, I'd probably use like my black marker brush and give this a nice black, bold outline, and then some really bright, saturated colours. That's kind of what I did last time I drew in this style. I had real nice black outline. I'm not sure if I'll put a picture up on screen of one of the things I did, because they were a bit gory, maybe? Not safe for everyone. But, yeah. But this is actually kind of relaxing. Even though it's not perfect, you know, you have to kind of let go of that a little bit. The brush strokes, I feel like, I know that when I used to colour in pencil, I would colour everything in the same direction, so you get a nice even lineage to the colouring. But with this, it's all over the place. And I know that I think proper painters, they do get all the brush strokes going in the same direction. But yeah, like I said, no experience, don't really know what I'm doing. I feel like I should have made this orange lighter. And there's all these little white gaps that are bugging me, and I don't want to get too... I don't want to get too close, because then exactly this will happen where I overlap. That's okay. Maybe I'll give this to my mom. I'll give this to my mom on, Christmas. I can't remember what I gave her for her birthday, I don't think. Oh, so long ago now. This whole year feels like it's literally been 3 years long, yet at the same time, feels like it's going faster than I expected to. Like, I did not expect it to be December already. But I'm not complaining, because I am excited to go on holiday. Very excited. And I haven't gone back to work yet, because I was like, I'm waiting till I finish my course, and then I finished the course, and I was actually, I might go this week. That could be a thing that I do, but at the same time, it's a bit close to the holiday that I'm going to go on. I could always show up for a week and then go on holiday for a week and then come back again. I'm definitely going to miss this year's Christmas party. We always have nice Christmas parties. Ooh, how's that looking so far? I don't know if it's better in the shade or in the not shade. Okay, I'm going to do this bit next. I can hear someone walking around. Is this camera still running? Alright, it's still running, but I think it's going to turn itself off soon. Because last time I used it for a long time, it conked out after half an hour. So we're all done. Hang on, I think I was holding these oranges away because they're empty. They might not be empty. I'm just going to put them back in the box, actually. And now it's time to choose a nice emerald green. So, we can always mix it, I suppose. We've got an aqua. We've got another aqua. And there's some lighter greens, there's some darker greens. I really like this one. Do you think? Viridian acrylic? I think these are all acrylic paints. I think I would know if it was an oil paint. Oh, this one's nice and full. When was this made? Also, does it sound like my voice is breaking? Because so far nothing has happened with testosterone. As far as I can tell, and I'm hoping that that's something. Because what I heard is that they were like, oh, your first symptoms will be a larger appetite and your skin will feel different, and I haven't had either of that yet. That didn't help. I wanted to try to do the thing people do with string, where you put it in your mouth and it makes it stick together into a fine point. We don't get that kind of luck around here. This green is so nice! Doesn't this look nice? I'm going to put it in the shady bit as well so you can see it better. I don't know which version is going to look nice. The lighting's probably really whack. I didn't have many options in terms of space. It's a bit of a cluttered yard, maybe you can tell. Oh, that's such a nice green. Oh my god, I love that green. I can hear someone walking in.